It's 9 to 10 hours a day. These were fantastic. A lot of compression socks are a little too thin, especially for what I do. With CopperFit, I could wear these every day.
Feel more energized. Feel more active. Just feel better.
They just hug your leg. It relieves all the pressure that you have. I have so much energy, I can go, hey, you want to dance?
The first ever easy on, easy off compression sock. The most comfortable compression sock you will ever wear. Get your CopperFit Energy Socks now online at GetEnergySocks.com for only $19.99 or call 1-800-978-1224. Order right now and we'll include a second pair of compression socks free.
I've never felt anything like it before.
No more pain, no more swelling, no more achy, tired feet.
I can never go back to regular compression socks again.
Don't settle for ordinary. Ask for the original by name, CopperFit Energy Socks.
Well, the virus has now killed more than 100 people in China, and new cases have been confirmed around the world.
So you don't want to frighten the American public.
France and South Korea have also got evacuation plans.
But you need to prepare for and assume
strongly warning Americans to avoid all non-essential travel to China.
That this is going to be a real serious problem.
France, Australia, Canada, the US, Singapore, Cambodia, Vietnam, the list goes on.
Health officials are investigating more than 100 possible cases in the US.
Germany, a man has contracted the virus.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
Japan, where a bus driver contracted the virus.
Coronavirus has killed more than 100 people there and infected more than 4,500.
We have to prepare for the worst, always, because if you don't and the worst happens.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
How do you follow Rosemary Gibson? She's so good. Welcome back for the second hour of War Room Pandemic. Remember, the enlightened mind, and I think it's what Emerson said, the resolved mind can get you through life, right? To success, accomplishments. The transcendentalist, right, Emerson. Self-reliance. To have self-reliance, you have to have a resolved mind. To have a resolved mind, you must be enlightened. That's what we're bringing and introducing you to the last couple of months. People that are totally, completely unknown. Rosemary Gibson, Curtis Ellis, Peter Navarro. When Peter Navarro came on the campaign, as you remember, Jason, complete unknown, Harvard PhD, but a guy out in California surfing, ran for mayor of San Diego, up in North County, kind of hanging out, teaching at UC Irvine. Not exactly a hot spot of economic thought, right? But this is what a fourth turning is about. The low should be brought high, and the high will be brought low. That's what a fourth turning. You know what a fourth turning is? It's the fog of war. It's the signal in the noise. Just look back through history. All people who were kind of marginal, but they had this certain thing about them, they all become at the top of the heap in a fourth turning. All the big shots, all the swells, all the know-it-alls are just washed out to sea. And every one. The Revolution, the Civil War, the Great Depression, World War II, and now the great fourth turning in American history. Rosemary Gibson is going to be on our special every day this week. We're doing 6 hours. It comes up at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. We record it as soon as the live show is over. We're doing the Committee on the Present Danger, China, and we're focused on the CCP. That would be the Chinese Communist Party's war against the Chinese people, America, and the world. Rosemary Gibson will be on tomorrow. Today's episode will have both Roger Robinson, who was the head of economic warfare in the National Security Council for a guy named Ronald Reagan. And the way he brought the Soviet Union down in just 2 terms was economic warfare. And then we've got Kevin Friedman. Excuse me, Jack Maxey's getting, and I use my hand too. God, I'm gonna get the hook.
Get the chew
out. Get Vice President Pence on if I need a mask. I thought that was a bold move, actually. Do you think it was? Let's okay. Well, hashtag War and Pandemic. Thumbs up or thumbs down on Vice President Pence yesterday, not wearing the mask in the
I was surprised
Mayo Clinic.
I was surprised he didn't go with one. But you know what though? But here's. I am and I'm not because
that image would lasted forever.
Well, the image lasts forever, and then they'd go and jam up President Trump and say, if Pence is wearing the mask, where's your mask?
Yeah, that's right.
But he's tested all the time. I mean, it's the media just.
The media's banging on poor Vice President Pence, who's working 24/7 trying to do this. Here's the question you got to ask Vice President Pence. Instead of banging on him for the mask, here's the question you ask him. You're the head of the task force. What's the first meeting that Dr. Fauci brought up the fact that he was financing and funding the bat virus, the bat woman in the lab? When's the first time he brought up and kind of said, hey, here's what they've been researching, here's what the Australians have been pitching in, here's what World Health Organization, here's all the universities these guys went to, here's the caves they're going into, here's the kind of 50 coronaviruses, here's why these things are so deadly, here's the check I wrote them, here's the other checks I wrote them previously, here's the thing, and they're totally transparent. Here's what tell me. Get off the vice president on his mask and ask him an important question. When did Fauci tell the committee, tell the task force that he sits on as the head of infectious, and this is a great point I think you made, or Jack, Rima Jack, it's not, NIH is Francis Collins. Fauci is the infectious disease guy, okay, head guy. Been there since 1984, been there forever. Not deep state, he's risen to the top of it. It's in your grill, it's not deep, it's right there, sitting at the head of the infectious disease, right, with all his mumbo jumbo, right? This is what the media just is so pathetic, is that you will not sit there and ask him tough questions or follow up when he's when he's doing the dance yesterday. That's a great thing. I'm glad you said needy. It's about needy. What are you talking about, dude? Strategic needy? I thought we were having testing everybody. You're beating up President Trump every day. You spend all day, Zucker, prepping, Caitlin Collins and the rest of them to get the snarkiest question out there about testing. Right? Oh, it's only 2%. What are you supposed to be, everybody? And then Fauci, the hero, sits up there, and it's like, oh, that's a great answer. But hey, Jake Tapper, ask him today, when did he come up, at what meeting, how early was it, and how detailed was it? And how much, this is about fiduciary responsibility. What did he know about what do you know about the research they were doing? What do you know about the bats? Had he been getting constant reports? He said in February, they're totally transparent. I talked to my Chinese colleagues. That's the term he used, my Chinese colleagues. So we can give a big globalist hug, right? The big globalist hug. Our Chinese colleagues, right? By the way, folks, you're going to be surprised of those Chinese colleagues of those labs. Going to be surprised in the future where some of those folks end up and what they got to say. Just duly note that. Put a pin in that, Dr. Fauci. Put a pin in that, Dr. Fauci. And about the fiduciary responsibility, what does Dr. Fauci owe the American people for the fiduciary responsibility, understanding you're taking their taxpayer dollars and doing it, but more importantly, you're approving, the United States of America and the American people are approving what's going on in the lab. More important than the $3.7 million, it's the credibility of this is, remember, we're the finest in the world, the CDC, the NIH, the cancer research, but all of it up there in Bethesda. It's the creme de la creme, and the whole world looks to that. That's why you look at the World Health Organization, heck, a third of the staff are Americans. We're very proud. We take young men and women from all over the world. They come to American universities. They become, they get green cards. They become citizens. We got the creme de la creme from the whole world, right? And they end up in places like NIH. It's fantastic. Okay? I would actually rather have them go back to their own countries and lead their countries to greatness in their medical professions and have Americans. But hey, I can get along with how you do it. But the point is that credibility of the stamp of approval of the people. It's like the full credit, the Senate and people of Rome. Okay, this is the stamp that Fauci gave the labs. Okay, he must have done the due diligence. That's the other thing I like to say, Dr. Fauci. When you told the vice president, I'm sure back in January or early February, that you knew about it. You also brought the volumes of due diligence, confirmatory due diligence that you had done to drill down, to make sure that this thing was playing by the Robert's Rules of Order, the Marquis of Queensberry's rules for bat testing, and not kind of what we've seen, guys down bringing up the horseshoe bats from the caves, right? Remember what the bat woman said. Oh my God, I hope it's not from my research department. And by the way, Dr. Fauci, while we're on this topic, I want to ask you first. I don't want to have to ask the Chinese Communist Party. I don't have to go to the World Health Organization. I'm going to go to you. You're the head. Where's the young research assistant? Have you put in a call? What's the first date you put in a call to find out where she is? When the bat woman said that, it came out later. She said, did you call her? Is Dr. Fauci, I'd like to get the cell phone or your office phone. And I'm sure Clyburn I'm sure Clyburn and Nancy Pelosi, write this one down, Clyburn staff, because we know you guys listen. Write this one down, log it in. I want to go through all of Fauci's phone records, all the emails. The first time the Batwoman said that in December of 2019. It's the Chinese Communist Party's responsible. But hey, if we're going to have fiduciary responsibility, where's Fauci? Right? Did he say, hey, the Batwoman, well, yeah, she's the one we're funding? What went on there? Why did you say that? What are you talking about, your research? In the research assistant, the young woman who's been wiped away off the websites. We don't need conspiracy theories. We don't need guys running around here trying to touch. You don't need Zero Hedge banned from Twitter, Jack Dorsey. What's Zero Hedge banned for Twitter? They're banned for Twitter for bringing this up 2 months ago. Banned for Twitter. Please tell me, Jack Dorsey and Twitter, anything in Wuhan Mao 50 Cent army that's going to be blowing us up later, right? That's the bots of the propaganda machine. The propaganda machine's in full bore. Please tell me what the guys at Zero Hedge said that hasn't been proven out. Can't we let them get back into their Twitter account? Can we do that? Dr. Fauci, when's the first time you requested about the where is the young woman that's the research assistant, right? I know you inquired about her, and I'm sure you updated the task force. So Clyburn, put that down. You know, before I know you want to get to all the administrative people, and you want to get the president, and you want to go impeachment 2.0. And oh yeah, I'm sorry. They're only going to look forward. They're not going to look back. They're not going to look back. But in case you do look back, just like say in August on national hearings, just throwing it out there in case that happens. What we'd like to see is Fauci as the first witness. Talk to us about the labs. Talk to us about the research. Talk to us about the caves. Talk to us about the horseshoe bats. Talk to us about why you funded it. I would like to know, and I'm sure we're going to find out. There's a little bit of speculation, but I assume you're going to find out that NIH in Australia and the other Western free democracies that help fund the research, that they all talk to each other, right? Dr. Fauci is very highly thought of. His Chinese colleagues, full transparency. I believe that was in February 23rd. You know, remember, Fauci wasn't saying to do anything here to the end of February. You're beating on the President of the United States every day for February. What's happening in February? Caitlin Collins, hey, what are you doing in February? Yeah, we heard that you stopped the travel from China. By the way, against the recommendation of Fauci and Azar and the whole CDC crowd on the 28th of January. And now they've made up a new thing, which the president came out and said is not true. And the New York Times got him off the hook, cleaned it up by saying, oh, no. On the morning of the 30th, I think it was, Jason, morning 30th, they called Mulvaney, got the president on a plane, and they said, hey, you ought to do this. The president said, I don't remember that. I remember I made that decision over their recommendations against. It wasn't until March 11th that Fauci supposedly went in there and said, hey, I think we got to stop things from Europe, right? At that time, I think they did. But that 2 months. It's longer than that, 3 months. Heck, and I want to go to Taki. I got jumped last night by a guy who I actually think very highly of. I like. He's a great guy to hang out with. Taki and Taki Magazine lit Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro up because we're saying, hey, it's not the Chinese people, it's these labs, and he's saying no, it's the wet markets. They're uncivilized. Taki, you got to get with the program here, dude. I don't mind getting lit up. Okay, I don't mind getting lit up, but you got to get your facts right. Nobody that's followed this for a second thinks it came out of the wet market. Okay, it didn't come out of the wet market. That's CCP, that's Chinese Communist Party propaganda, and you bit hard. Okay, you bit hard. If you're going to light guys up, you got to understand what's going on, and that means you got to get off your high horse and kind of this snobbish. Anybody that doesn't live in Stad, anybody that doesn't live in Stad or the Upper East Side, and Taki, I like you. You're a good man, right? Great guy to hang out with. But you got to understand, because you don't live in Stad or the Upper East Side, doesn't mean you're lower down the food chain, right? These are decent, hardworking people. The Chinese people have as much grit and determination as anybody on the face of it. Lao Beijing, old 100 names, are as decent and hardworking as you possibly can get. And no, the wet market is the CCP. That's why they had the video that came out right away. And Raheem, you're seeing it now in England, throughout the world. The CCP's propaganda machine is in full drive. And hey, here's what they're telling. They're bold now. They're sitting there. The foreign minister came out this morning and put America, You don't know what you're doing. You're a primitive society. You're a primitive culture. You've proved it in how you can't manage anything. The President of the United States and Navarro and Bannon and all these guys, Tom Cotton, all they're doing is talking trash against us because you're incompetent. You're primitive, right? You're primitive. If you think for a second they're going to sit there and got their checkbook out and they're going to be writing checks for reparations here and to pay for this, you got another thing coming. We have to do this. You have to hold them accountable, knowingly responsible. But don't think they're just going to sit there and go, what a lovely idea. What a lovely idea. Okay? They're not. It's around the labs. We have to drill down the labs. And the first guy we got to talk to is Dr. Fauci.
Next up, Dr. Fauci will be joining us. Oh, wait, he just hung up.
Dr. Fauci on line 2. Okay, we're going to take a short commercial break. I'm going to get off my soapbox, get the rest of the team in here when we return on War Room Pandemic.
I'm Nick Bolton, and these days...
Hey there.
Hey there. It seems everybody has a pair of tactical sunglasses.
Good morning.
Morning. But what if you already wear glasses? Then you need these flip-up tack glasses. These new glasses fit right over your existing eyewear to give you all the benefits of our tack glasses while you comfortably wear your regular glasses. And watch this. When you don't need them, the lenses flip up and out of the way. Then snap right back into place when it gets bright again. Plus, like all tack glasses, flip-up tack glasses feature Bell & Howell light filtering technology that makes invisible objects suddenly become visible. But don't take my word for it. Check out what these people had to say. Take a look at the screen and tell me what you see.
Nothing. Just blank.
Nothing. There's nothing there.
Absolutely nothing.
Flip down those tack glasses and look again.
Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh. That's amazing. There was nothing, and then it just appears an American eagle. It's absolutely insane.
Can you read that fine print on the bottom right there?
Land of the free and home of the brave. God bless America.
Whether you're on the trail or on the golf course, on the water, or on the slopes. With flip-up tack glasses, you'll always see clearly without any glare. There's just nothing like them on the market today. Here you go, buddy.
Thanks, Nick.
Act now to get your flip-up tack glasses for just $19.99, and we'll even ship them to you free. Only tack glasses feature the precision and quality of genuine Bell & Howell lenses, and they're backed by our lifetime guarantee. But wait, order today and you can get a second pair. Just pay a separate fee. You get it all, plus free shipping. Here's how to order.
To get your flip-up tack glasses for only $19.99 with free shipping, call 1-800-284-4127. That's 1-800-284-4127, or visit us online at flipupglasses.com. That's 1-800-284-4127, or visit us at flipupglasses.com. Call or log on now.
At Leaf Filter, we're on a never-ending journey to end gutter cleaning forever. Whoa! Way too dangerous, Bill. Say goodbye to that ladder. Way too clogged, Melissa. Those black gutters are causing serious damage to your home. Look at these cracks in your foundation. Leaf Filter, the nation's #1 rated gutter protection system, will keep you safe and protect your home. Leaf Filter's stainless micromesh screen fits over your existing gutters and is guaranteed to filter out everything except for water. No more leaves or debris in your gutters for the life of your home. Schedule your free gutter inspection and estimate, just like Paul. With Leaf Filter's lifetime warranty, we guarantee you'll never have to clean those nasty gutters again. Everybody okay with that?
I should.
Call 833-LEAF-FILTER or go to getleaffilter.com for your free gutter inspection and estimate. Act now and save 15% off your purchase.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Okay, hashtag War Room Pandemic. We want you guys on the show. We want to know the first date, the earliest date that Dr. Fauci told the vice president and the rest of the task force about he had been financing corona bat research with the Batwoman in China at the labs. Okay. And then also, as a secondary question, when's the first time he brought up he called the Chinese and asked about the well-being of the young Chinese research assistant, female, who has been kind of wiped from, human memory here, who's going to be, who they refer to as patient Zero when they talk about these labs.
So, Steve, zero Pinocchios on the Fauci rant, but just thought I'd correct the
Is it a
record.
Pinocchio or I just made an on-air?
Just wanted to correct the record on the Taki.
It is from Taki magazine.
It's in Taki's magazine.
It's the lead link in the Drudge middle column.
In the middle section.
By the way, I think I got the third link too, which is Mike Bowen. They jammed us up for Mike Bowen calling into the show and getting a contract. And they go Trump insiders, But go back to Taki.
I just wanted to correct it very quickly. The article, in fact, is bylined by David Cole.
I don't remember David Cole.
Well,
Taki Mag's pretty right wing.
I don't know if you would want to associate David Cole with right wing. David Cole got into some controversy about 10 years ago. I think he said something like. And I'll be as broad as possible with this to avoid any legal ramifications. But there was he was being imprecise about the Holocaust, let's say, and knowingly imprecise.
Don't tell me he's a denier.
Well,
a David Irvin type.
Well, he's one of these guys. Like, do we know the real numbers? And where were they really killed? And all this stuff.
That's a denier.
Right.
That's a David Irvin type.
So I want everyone to realize that when Drudge links to this. At the top of his middle column, it's a big no from me.
Yeah.
It's a big do your background, Matt Drudge. If you're still running
but
it.
But no, it's a good piece in the fact that it does lay at the fact that there are populists and nationalists out there, Peter Navarro, myself, and others, that are arguing for the freedom of the Chinese people, and this can't be dumped on the Chinese people. This is the Chinese Communist Party, and it's around those labs somehow, and that needs further due diligence. I think the due diligence has got to start with Dr. Fauci, and maybe should start this afternoon, and maybe should start the next press event. In fact, when you're screaming all these snarky questions at the president, and hey, he's president of the United States, you should be able to ask the question you want to ask. But in all that snark you ask him, why don't you ask about, hey, when did Dr. Fauci first tell you, Mr. President, that he had been financing and funding the bat research with American taxpayer dollars and the stamp of approval of the full faith and credit of the American people, which is even more important.
I would like to just disagree with you. I don't think it's a good piece at all, and people should go and read it if they want. Franken-COVID Conquers the Right. Go and read it. I think what it smacks of is somebody who hasn't paid attention to this, the whole story, doesn't understand the detail, but just wants to weigh in because they're a general commentator about the right. I don't think it shows sophistication or broad understanding. But hey, look, the audience out there, go and read it and let us know what you think. #WarRoomPandemic.
We'll send it up there. I want to continue on. We've got additional, and this is about the, let's now pivot to coming out of this. We have Governor DeWine, Governor Abbott. We have Governor Kemp attempting his thing, but we also got Ron DeSantis. Was DeSantis in yesterday? Was his to kind of make sure that he's one of the big three power moves that are going to open up all this? Because you got Florida, Texas, and Ohio, the three biggest, most important Republican states.
Well, I think so, and also because President Trump needs a strong Florida to win re-election this year. And Governor DeSantis, so far, I mean, Florida's death count numbers are very low proportional for the size of the state. And in fact, they just crossed 1,000, which is a state of, 22 million people, I believe.
Well, plus an elderly population. I mean, we talked about this at the beginning. Those condos in the south of Florida, and plus the villages all up through I-4. I mean, it's pretty amazing.
I think the administration and Governor DeSantis want to do a bit of a mind meld for how it's going to look coming forward, because Florida's a huge, geographically, very population-wise, very diverse state. I mean, it's several states all shoved together, and I think they want to make sure they have a commonality going into this.
So let's go to do we have the messaging over the opening and what the economy looks like?
So as far as from President Trump or from?
No, I think don't we have Secretary Mnuchin?
Yeah, let's go in order. Yeah, let's go in order. So let's go Secretary Mnuchin, then Kevin Hassett, and then Jared. So we'll go first off. Here's Secretary Mnuchin from this is Sunday when he was on with Chris Wallace.
Well, Chris, I think as we begin to reopen the economy in May and June, you're going to see the economy really bounce back in July, August, September. And we are putting in an unprecedented amount of fiscal relief into the economy.
So that's Sunday, Secretary Mnuchin.
Yep.
Here is Kevin Hassett then on Monday.
But I'm still worried. I get
know.
worry here in the
I'm
White
worried.
House. Yeah.
I'm worried, and I'm lucky, right? And so let's look into these numbers. So between 16 to 20% unemployment, that's Great Depression levels unemployment. Sure. You're talking about a contraction in growth of about, or maybe in excess of 30% in the second quarter.
The Wall Street firms are saying minus 20 to minus 30 at an annual rate, and it could be as much as minus 40. I mean,
Yikes. And then here is Jared Kushner this morning on Fox News.
We're also preparing the country so that we can really get as close back to normal as possible, as quickly as possible. And I think what you'll see in May, as the states are reopening now, is May will be a transition month. You'll see a lot of states starting to phase in the different reopening based on the safety guidelines that President Trump outlined on April 19th. And I think you'll see by June a lot of the country should be back to normal. And the hope is that by July, the country's really rocking again.
So individually, all three of those ring true. That there is, I mean, nothing that any of, whether it be Secretary Mnuchin or former CEA Chairman Kevin Hassett or Senior Advisor Jared Kushner, individually, nothing that any of them said is inaccurate. But when you hear the different tones and the approaches and what they're choosing to push forward as their messages, you can see why the media and people at home are getting a bit confused here.
I think if you go back and deconstruct it and jump in, guys, that Hassett's talking about, we just had the first quarter announced, 5%. I think a little bit of that is people are also saying, how much softness was there even in January before with this thing hit us in February and really in March? February, we kind of basically, except for Ohio and a couple of others, most of the states continued on with Mardi Gras and other things like that. It was really towards the latter part of February and then into March. March it really hit us. The question they asked him about the 5% down, because that's a big draft, how soft was January? Hassett, I think, is teeing it up correctly and saying, hey, look, this collapse of aggregate demand is horrific. And you've got historic now unemployment, but when you talk about a GDP drop of 40%, that is bang. You're hitting hardcore bottom right there. And what Mnuchin, I think, and Jared are saying is that, hey, starting in the third quarter, we're going to get traction and start to rocket ship up. What I think, just like in the metrics and I think this would have, and it's needed even today, you still need your model, particularly with all the confusion about testing. I do think you need your model on the pandemic side to walk through the metrics, the ones the president looks at every day. What is define success?
So right,
and I think you also need to do it with instead of the verbal's fine. And I realize you're setting a thing, but the president should also be doing that. But Mnuchin should come out with, hey, here's where we, the companies are giving guidance. Quite frankly, the counter argument to that is that you're seeing now. I think there was 22 economists and some CEOs said that they think it's going to be the second quarter of 2021. I mean, they're saying it's going to be pushed out. So I think to counter that, you come out with numbers and metrics. Here's our model. Here's our model for the pandemic. Here's our model for the testing.
And also goes back to what Raheem was saying on the repetition. So now that we've made this pivot here, look, we had our 30 days to save America, where we had to go and flatten this curve and in some places try to smash it. We never saw the big outbreaks in a lot of places around the country. Still more than half of the outbreak or of the cases and half of the deaths are all in the tri-state area. So it's very much, when you look at where these outbreaks are, it's not all over the country, it's in specific places. Got to make sure that that's clear. So the phased reopening makes sense. So, but where are we now? Or is this whereas we had the 30 days to save America, is this now putting America back to work, or the United States is back in business? What is kind of our collective reopening theme and plan? So as we get everyone geared to, we want to get this thing as open, as quick as possible, as safe as possible. Look, in the same news cycle, you have Dr. Gobbledygook moving the goalpost, Fauci, out there saying we're not going to have sports this year. Americans.
Where was that? You just dropping that bomb on me. I heard we're having baseball in June. What are you talking about? I'm looking, and I don't like the way baseball's doing it. I don't want mixing leagues and all this kind of stuff.
Well, if you
give me Major League Baseball,
if you listen to War Room Pandemic, you would have heard last Monday when we had Governor DeWine essentially say that he doesn't expect to see the Ohio State Buckeyes on the field
Which
this
is
season.
like high church.
Right. Then immediately after that, we had Mark Cuban on, who went in the mumble tank, not just when asked him the question on Clippers versus Mavericks in round one, which in all fairness, almost every NBA team in the league, other than the Lakers, are going to say, how do you beat the Clips? I mean, that's not to put them on the
This
spot.
the
there.
Lakers that took money for their payroll? That
Yes.
Lakers?
Yes. But they gave it back, right? That's
When they were outed, yes.
Right, exactly. But I mean, you gotta pay LeBron. You know, I mean, what do you think? Anthony Davis is grabbing those boards for free? No way. Maybe they're just trying to get themselves.
So don't tell me Fauci.
So,
hearing it from DeWine is one thing. Yes, and
no.
they're
Fauci
leading.
told the New York Times. So here's the headline: Some sports may have to skip this year. Fauci says. Dr. Anthony Fauci, leading U.S. infectious disease expert, said widespread testing with speedy results would be needed if sports leagues are to safely restart their seasons. Now, we just played you the clip of Dr. Fauci saying that by the end of May or beginning of June, so they tell me, the people who deal with the testing, those people, those nerds in the rooms with the no windows doing their nerd things, the people who need it will be able to get the test by then. But he's saying here, sports leagues would need widespread testing with speedy results. We're going to get back this entire calendar year. Doctor, let's keep the goalpost in one spot for just a minute.
Short break. We're going to come back with Raheem about repetition, because the numbers I know is 60,000 and 2.2 million because of repetition. Raheem Kassam will lead us when we return in a moment.
Uh-oh, there you go. Slow slicing fruits, veggies, and those stinky onions that bring you to tears. But not anymore. Introducing NutriChopper, the compact handheld speed slicer that cuts up to 10 times quicker than a knife. Watch. You can have one slice or 10 perfect slices at once. Amazing! You can just julienne, or you can bundle slice julienne sticks at lightning speed. With NutriChopper, you can slice the entire onion or mince a mound of onions and never have time for tears. Why slice a single apple wedge when you can wedge it all in one snap? NutriChopper comes with the razor-sharp interchangeable stainless steel blades you need to make all of the cuts you want, and all incredibly quick. Chop thick slices, chop thin slices, chop cubes, chop sticks, and wedge whole fruits and vegetables in just 1 second. Slice it and cook it right in the pan, right on your stove. Chop and slice right into the pot for a family-sized stew with no mess. Snap and slice a fruit salad for the kids right into the bowl in seconds. Slice up a healthy salad for a quick and easy meal on the go. Cube meats and cheeses quick, in a snap. And NutriChopper comes with a perfect portion container and fresh-keeping lid so you can slice it, seal it, and store it all in one. To clean, simply rinse or rack it in the dishwasher. Then lock it to store it safely in a drawer. And now the NutriChopper with the thin slice, thick slice, wedge, and cube blades, and the slice and store container and lid, a value of over $40, is yours for just $19.99. But wait! Order now and we'll even pay the shipping for you. You get the complete NutriChopper set with blades and container with lids, all for just $19.99 with free shipping. Here's how to order.
To order, call 1-800-927-4071 or go online at NutriChopper.com. That's 1-800-927-4071 or go to NutriChopper.com. Order now.
At touchofmodern.com, we get that the things you surround yourself with reflect who you are. Your style, your drive, your passions. Venture through a curated collection of astonishing items at touchofmodern.com, because sometimes things aren't just things, they're you. Go to touchofmodern.com and discover the world's most unexpected items. At touchofmodern.com, you'll find products that defy expectations for those who seek the extraordinary. Tents brave the Arctic. Coffee tables chill drinks. Rowers are powered by water. And that's just the beginning. Go to touchofmodern.com and venture through a curated collection of the highest quality in fashion, tech, and home, with new items added every day. Touchofmodern.com. Lead the pack. Be the first to discover all the novel and noteworthy products the world has to offer.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Really want to thank you for the support, in particular our production partners at AVN, Dish Channel 219, the backbone of the Trump Revolution, the streaming service, and also the John Fredericks Radio Network, helping us produce. We're doing all week 6 hours of the Committee on the Present Danger China, talking about the Chinese Communist Party's basically war with America. It's a hot war, both economically, cyber, and information. And we hope and we pray every night that it doesn't turn into a kinetic war. As I was very prophetic in the 2015 and said we'd be in war in the South China Sea in 5 or 6 years, 5 to 8 years, I think it was. Roger Robinson and Kevin Freeman about economic warfare. Roger Robinson was the head of economic warfare on the National Security Council for President Ronald Reagan. So we're going to have an hour, be up at 5 o'clock. The enthusiasm for it's been terrific. So we got so much more every day we're going to do, and hopefully keep doing these series. On repetition, and then I want to get to about repetition is about these drugs also. They're now in people's minds. People think, remember, therapeutics. I don't think there's going to be a vaccine anytime soon, but Oxford and other people, actually Chuck Todd yesterday had a very positive segment in the controlled negativity of MSNBC, had a very positive segment. And he said, hey, I need some good news. I need some blue sky. Talked at length about the Oxford study on the vaccine. Seems like a number of companies are out there pushing the vaccine. But on the therapy side, which we know, this is the way we've managed HIV for, 40 years. The therapy side is key. But on repetition, before we get there, I want to go to your thing. The people know now the 60,000 and the 2.2 million. Why? The President of the United States, and they also know about China, about stopping the traffic from China. Because it's simple, people understand it, they see the results, and he continues to repeat it. Even if he has to, is the numbers going to go up at the lower level? I think University of Washington, correct me if I'm wrong, Jason, came out, and they've upped theirs to 74,000 now at the lower end. I think 74,000
by August 4th. Which
but
is
that's it. But the August 4th
73,000. But
August 4th, we kind of all agree is the end of wave one. At least what the construct they've put out there in repetition. We got that. That's why I kind of like Mnuchin and Jared's. I'd like to have a model in back of it. July is when we get some traction. That's kind of saying, hey, everything converges. The end of phase one. Right, with the real takeoff in the economy. I think but you ought to repeat that. That's ought to be the repetition. Well, your thing in repetition. And you did this brilliantly during the whole Brexit, the rise of UKIP. You got a couple of basic, simple messages that people could understand viscerally. Repeat. Wash, rinse, repeat. Wash, rinse, repeat. Why is that not happening here?
Well, actually, and you taught me that. Early day. I'm not kidding. I hate giving you credit, but I'll do it. Early days when I first.
There's so many daddy issues here.
When I first joined Breitbart, you taught me wash, rinse, repeat. You would send me a story overnight that we had already covered the day before, and I would write back to you, already covered it, and I'd hit you with a link. You never clicked the link. You didn't even look. You just replied, wash, rinse, repeat. And what that meant was go again, find a new angle, use the same talking points, the same lines, but find a new angle, get somebody else quoted, get an op-ed, but they hit the same thing again and again and again. And then we put that into play, during Brexit, during some of the elections that we fought in the UK. And the power of that, you think about the power of that in the last couple of weeks here in the United States. What's trended, right? And here's the key to Raheem's brain for those people trying to understand where I'm coming from. I don't really know anything. All I do is real-time comprehension of what's going on television, what people are talking about, and how it cuts through. What's cutting through right now, okay, is the president told you to inject bleach. The lab thing is a conspiracy theory. Chris Cuomo good, Orange Man bad. These things, and they repeat and they repeat and they repeat. I noticed this morning listening to my NPR news roundup, which is one of the things I listened to before the show starts, was they're still going on about experts say there's no way this came from a Wuhan lab. What experts are saying? I mean, you've got Jamie Ms.L, who sits as an associate of the World Health Organization, blogging that he thinks it came from a Wuhan lab, and walking through his logic in doing so, saying, I'm using Occam's razor here, and here are the things things I'm doing to get there, and you still have NPR just repeating the lie. Well, our side needs to repeat the truths of this stuff, and that's what I'm not seeing here. You repeat the basic facts over and over and over again. This is why the president keeps coming back to shutting down the China thing, but he's got to have more than that. He's got to be able to default and repeat on more than that, and you're just not seeing it.
Do you believe that they need a detailed timeline for February of the actions that were taken? Because look, what the president did immediately, which nobody gives him credit for, he depended upon all the experts, and what they want is, you can see the memes, data-driven, science-based, right? The president pivoted to that in February and said, CDC stepped up and said, we're the pros from Dover. We've got a test solution, and we'll get it up and cranking. He said he formed the task force. And here's the power of what he formed in the task force, which I don't know why they're not repeating. He didn't go to the VP and said, get the political guys. He put Azar, the head, where it all reports up to, you're the head of the task force. Get some national security guys on here, Pottinger and those guys, and whoever these guys are, Fauci, NIH, CDC, those are who it should be. I'm fine with that. Go off and solve this, which is what a chairman CEO should do. Now, we find out the administrative state bungled this in February. The bungling we had was not in this is the actions that you should take. It was in the execution of the actions that should have been taken. The executions of the actions that should have been taken. And who did that? MSNBC and CNN was the administrative state. We're not saying you're sitting there going, oh, this is payback for Trump. No, Trump didn't touch over at NIH and didn't touch it. Hey, I was one of the guys who said, I think Francis Collins been there a little too long, right? And maybe guys like Dr. Fauci have been there a little too long. Got a little bit of moss growing on their north side. 40 years. I don't mind expertise, but step outside, be a consultant. Let's get some young blood in there. This is what Peter Thiel had, all these amazing people. And for a host of reasons, and I think President Trump, to mitigate risks, said, no, let's stick with this team. That's the same team that's been passed on from Obama and all these other things. Same team. How did they blow it this time? Right? The CDC. And now we're finding NIH. Of course, we know he's not going to blow it because I'm sure that on that January 28th meeting, right, when they're sitting there arguing about China, Dr. Fauci, I know he brought up on the 28th of January. I could just feel it because he's Dr. Fauci, right? And Brad Pitt's going to find this out because he's going to ask him on the morning of the 28th when he's arguing, we can't stop the air traffic from China. He's doing that because he says, hey, I actually know these guys. I financed that. This thing I finance is they're cutting edge. In fact, I just called her, and I really found out that the young girl that was actually the research assistant, she's missing, but we got an all-points bulletin out in Wuhan to find her, right? And in fact, we're going to send in, help them. We'll send in a team to assist of finding her because they're really concerned about her health since she was working at a lab.
And he shared that information with NSA advisor O'Brien, and he shared it with President Trump.
And no, and I know on the 30th, according to the New York Times, when he and Azar and CDC had the conversation with Mulvaney and the president where they said, oh, no, the 28th, upon further review, right? Upon further review, Mr. President, we actually are advocating to shut China. The president said, I don't remember that conversation, right? I don't remember that. That is fake news. Maggie and Annie Carney in the crew, you got to back that one up because that sounds like some guy trying to clean up the record. I know that the president will remember because Fauci, I'm sure, in his first conversation with the president said, hey, I got this. We actually finance it. Do you understand what Donald Trump, his head would have blown up in the room if Fauci had told him at the time, we've actually been financing this, the most dangerous research ever. I want to see Dr. Fauci's notes to make sure there wasn't change of function, right? Change of function research going on, right? With this big controversy about what exactly were they doing in that CDC lab and what exactly were they doing in the P4 lab. By the way, the French, who are supposed to kind of be overseeing the P4 lab, the guys on the board here, there's supposed to be an international board of directors of this thing. Just saying. That if you look back at the original documentation, there's a lot of blame to go around here, right? But we ought to start getting, if CNN and MSNBC want to hold this guy up, we're not attacking him from the right. We're not saying he he had dinner with Bill Gates and he believes in vaccinations and, he gave to Hillary Clinton and he winked at Jonathan Karl coming out of the room. We don't care about that. We don't care about any of that.
This is question 1 that you put in an email to the NIH on day 1 that you find out about this. You know, Axios should take that PPP money, hire somebody good to send that email. Sorry.
Wow. Well,
sorry, Jonathan.
You're
vicious.
The biggest tell here is you've got Fauci defending his colleagues in Wuhan, right, and defending the quality of Chinese science.
His colleagues, his transparent colleagues.
Right, and I think one of the things, a little aside, I think we're going to find out after all this is over just how bad the practices of Chinese science is.
No, hang on. This is why Thayer and Lian Chan Han on episode 3 came out on the Hill and called it a biological Chernobyl. If you want to see what's going on, go watch the HBO Chernobyl. And if you want to see how they're acting, the book I recommend to people is not going to be one of our ones up on the side. We're going to stick with the Chinese. But if you want to see how these gangster apparatuses work, David Remnick's Lenin's Tomb, where you see the last days of the Soviet Union, total paranoia. All they cared about is who score settling and putting the knife in each other and retaining power, right? That's what's happening in Beijing right now, right? But you're right. But you're going to find out, like, if you watch Chernobyl, you're stunned. This is in 1988 or whatever it is. First off, you look like you're back in the 20s, and then the heroism of the workers with the incompetence, right? Cynicism of the apparatus, the apparatchiks. That's what you had in Wuhan. You're going to see that this is a biological Chernobyl.
Also, one more thing. While he's defending his Chinese colleagues and giving them $7.4 million of American money, how come he couldn't get one of his colleagues to let an inspection team come over and take a look at the quality of the work that we spent $7.4 million on?
Yeah.
Jack, Max, you bring up a good point. How come we have not had Dr. Fauci in a hazmat thing with where he sent the money to his colleagues, his transparent colleagues in China, that in February, remember, if you want to blame President Trump, you want to blame this, CNN, these guys, what about Fauci in February? Fauci all the way to late February saying not really a problem, and these guys are transparent, and they're telling us all about it. In January, he's sitting there, you have nothing to worry about, America. Nothing to worry about. Look, you're looking at a bunch of D students in biology here. We were telling you, biggest event in human history, a lot of people dying in Wuhan. They shut down something the size of France called Hubei. We think this is a big deal. And at the same evidence we saw, Fauci's sitting there going, you have nothing to worry about. Did Donald Trump ever say that? Did Donald Trump ever come out and say you have nothing to worry about? No, he said the Democratic Party was using it as a hoax. Look, you could parse what he did or not, but he never came out and told people on Newsmax TV and then on WABC, America, you have nothing to worry about.
But he did say it will be gone soon, really soon. But think about it. The media complains that the president's not listening to his scientists. That's what the scientists were telling the president to say.
Up through February.
And all these Biden attacks that you're seeing coming out right now, that's like the president, complimented China and said they were transparent. That was the information being given to the president of the United States by Dr. Fauci.
Dr. Fauci's got a lot. He only does 1,000 interviews a day. So maybe now that the White House itself in the comms team has control of his schedule, maybe he just does 500 a day. But hey, the guy's on Barstool. Next time he's on Barstool, Snapchat. Can you just ask him a couple of 3 questions that we got? We'll email him over to hashtag War on Pandemic. What are we not thinking to ask Dr. Fauci? I think the value of his book probably went down from 15 million maybe to 11 million today, right? Book deal, Tony. Book deal, Tony. Short commercial break. We're going to be back with War Room Pandemic. We want to hear your voice. Hashtag War Room Pandemic. Become part of the program. We're going to return in just a moment.
Stay tuned to get a free pan from Granite Stone. Stuck on eggs, burnt on batter. You can scrub and scrape, but you can't escape the nightmare of your sticky pans. Introducing the Granite Stone Pan, the all-new durable non-stick pan. No butter or oil needed. Watch, we melted down these sticky candies in Granite Stone, and it just doesn't stick. We cooked a half a dozen eggs, bacon, cheese, and tomato breakfast with no butter or oil, and it just doesn't stick. Look, caramels, chocolate, and cheese. Unreal for any other pan, but not for Granite Stone. It just doesn't stick. Granite Stone will be the last pan you'll ever need because it's pressed from a solid aluminum disc for even heat conduction. Then coated 3 times with our durable granite stone finish. Granite stone is metal utensil safe and won't scratch. And talk about non-stick. This salmon cooked skin side down with no added butter or oil just doesn't stick. This steak is perfectly seared, just like the pros. And because granite stone is oven rated to 500 degrees, we bake this upside down pan pizza to perfection, and it just doesn't stick. Fire Flambe Delicious Cherries Jubilee. Plus, it's PFOA free and 100% dishwasher safe. Call or go online to get your granite stone pan for the special TV discount price of just $19.99. Granite stone is so durable it comes with a 10-year warranty. And with every order, you're going to get a granite stone single-serve egg pan absolutely free. It's the perfect size for personalized eggs, omelets, or frittatas that slide right out. It makes the best bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich quick. Yours absolutely free. We'll even ship your entire order free. That's right, free shipping. You get it all, an incredible value. Here's how to order.
To order, call 1-800-850-0237. That's 1-800-850-0237, or order online at buygranitestone.com. That's 1-800-850-0237. Call now.
Have you or a loved one taken Zantac or another heartburn medication and developed cancer? You may be entitled to compensation. The FDA just announced that it is requesting manufacturers withdraw from the market all prescription and over-the-counter ranitidine heartburn medications, commonly known by the brand name Zantac. This is the latest step in an ongoing investigation of a contaminant known as NDMA in ranitidine heartburn medications. NDMA is a chemical that the FDA and World Health Organization both classify as cancer-causing. Now, prior to this announcement, CVS and Walgreens pulled Zantac from their shelves, citing the link between Zantac, NDMA, and cancer. If you or a loved one have taken Zantac or another heartburn medication and developed cancer, how do you fight for the compensation you deserve? You choose the right legal team that has the experience, support staff, and resources to seek the most compensation for your injuries. Call for more information and a free case review.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Okay, we got 8 minutes left, and we got too much to get to. We're going to do food security, which Jack Maxey's been all over from day one, and even Governor Perdue, or the Secretary of Agriculture, I don't think quite got it right. That's why we highlighted it 10 days ago in the Rose Garden. And then we've had this debacle with the meat packing plants. One of our listeners, one of the communities, giving us a heads up. What's happening in Wisconsin?
One of our listeners said that he went to the Costco in LeClaire, Wisconsin, I believe it was, and yesterday there was zero meat in the shelves.
This food security is a big deal, right? And that's why I think that, and Sonny Perdue's a good man, but you got to be high and tight. Jason mentioned at the time in the Rose Garden says the reason I don't like that, it's too loosey-goosey, right? You got to be high and tight on this, because this is where people can start getting very worried. Hey, if people go to Costco for the meat and the cheap gas, and now the gas is free, it's the meat they go for.
I joked about my dad, Bob Miller, having 30 pounds of pork in his additional freezer. Not laughing anymore.
Not laughing anymore.
I was in Seattle, so it's not doing me much
We're
good.
going to get to the food security tomorrow. You guys have been ahead of it. We're going to get that. We're also going to talk about this famine, because this famine is going to be a big deal.
And the locusts, they're now saying the biggest swarm in modern history.
So we're going to start with the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse tomorrow. Jack Maxey, just overnight to make you feel better. We're actually going to get to economic warfare in the special at 5 o'clock today. But I want to go to what we got to address today is where are we in these therapeutics? You and Navarro have been ahead of the wedge here, Jack. I tip my hat to you. I just don't know if you're going along the stocks or not, but no, I'm just kidding.
I think that one of the things that came out this morning...
Because one of the things I don't like is guys going on CNBC and talking about these biotech guys, and it seems to me, having seen a few promoters in my life, some of these guys are coming out and talking about, like, I'm going to have something next week, and it may be like in 3 years, but they're talking their stocks up.
Right. It's almost like a bucket room, but they're using CNBC for the purpose. Anyway, there was Gilead Science released a... memo this morning saying that their third phase trials that they've been doing with, and I'm going to screw this up, listeners, remdesivir, which is an antiviral that we talked about all the way back in late January, early February, because there were multiple studies on this drug done on SARS-1 that seemed quite effective. Now, as we look back retrospectively and we want to hammer the administration for not doing their jobs, Peter Navarro was on Lou Dobbs on the 14th of February talking about ramping up production for this drug, for which we only had a couple hundred doses around the country because the APIs were coming from China. They went behind the scenes, they worked with Gilead Science, and they have done an amazing job.
And Dobbs, if we got that, I want to play it. But I will say, CNBC and those guys, actually, I think they were even earlier than that. They did a very good job, and I'm just teasing about some of the guys going, but they've done a good job of companies, and particularly because this was tied to
Kramer's been pushing back because the Chinese were saying that this was total junk and garbage.
He's been on this,
let's play this clip
because this came out of the Pacific Northwest. Was the very first test.
And I'd be happy to talk about the Lancet study that's opposed.
Let's look first at vaccines, which is what we're going to need. So we have 5 of the big companies here in the U.S. In a Manhattan-style project in order to get us a vaccine, hopefully as early as next November. Get 150 million doses. It's going to require great effort on research and development. So that's really important. In terms of the treatment, there's a drug called remdesivir. It looks promising, and the thing that we need absolutely to do is get that into rapid clinical trials. We've been having trouble with the Chinese cooperating on that. So what we're doing is going down a different avenue to get that done. If we can get that done, we can ramp the production up and have that to treat people.
That's February 14th, right? And I know Kramer was on this even before that, talking about this, because they were very focused in the Pacific Northwest with Governor Inslee. In hindsight, I think did a very good job because they've handled those casualties well. But I think this is one of the first ones they were using up there too, right?
Well, yeah, it was that first patient in Seattle who was dying was given remdesivir as a kind of...
Okay, so not just because he's from the UK, but because Raheem Kassam is woke. He's on this. He says Lancet, which is probably one of the best peer-reviewed journals out there, totally disagrees with you, Jack. Is this what happened in Lancet?
So Gilead's stock jumps this morning, to come back to your point about people going on there and
the whole market
and promoting, and the market goes up as
driven by the therapeutics,
driven by this, and then Lancet pops out this article about another one of the studies using remdesivir, and the conclusion here, quote, "Our trial found that intravenous remdesivir did not significantly improve the time to clinical improvement, mortality, or time to clearance of the virus in patients with serious COVID-19 compared with the placebo." Jack.
Kaboom.
Okay, now I will respond. This is a study done by the Chinese. You remember they've done many studies. Gilead, and you heard Peter Navarro, the Chinese were not cooperating. If you actually look down into the study, it's a poor study. They also were taking many other antivirals on it at the same time. So rather than our esteemed colleagues of Dr. Fauci in Wuhan, I think I'm going to go along with our esteemed colleague, Arun Sabramian,
jump in here.
Professor of medicine at Stanford. And he says it's going very well.
I'm open to the evidence. All I'm saying is we have to calm down about these things. The market shouldn't be responding like this because, to your point, this Lancet study says the remdesivir was provided by Gilead. FGH has served as non-compensated consultant to Gilead. We thank Gilead for providing the study drugs and for advice regarding the safe use. So they were working with Gilead.
Okay, let's be clear. Gilead and Navarro and the administration have said that up until this Lancet study, they haven't shared squat. Okay, and notice how they always come out with a study that tries to point out that whatever the West is trying to do is going to be a failure because they already tried it.
You think
just like they already tried hydroxychloroquine?
Okay, hold on for a second. We'll pick this up tomorrow. Do you think this is part of because you're now going to become the expert or are the expert in this massive propaganda campaign that the CCP has in every aspect of what we're doing, right? Is this part of their propaganda campaign, or is this legitimate colleagues in the scientific community putting forward their concerns?
I'm going to look into that because the timing is suspect. You know, Gilead pops and then this study gets released but at the same time, it's the Lancet. So you have to look into it and say, these guys, they're not in the business of just publishing any old thing. So we're going to be looking into that.
Okay, we're gonna.
But I just like getting into it with Jack.
And you notice, Jack, every time one of these witches brews don't work in a test, it's always the Brazilian test. It's always the test is wrong.
But it's turning out true, And we don't have enough time for me to defend Sweden today, but perhaps tomorrow.
Maybe that's in your best interest.
No, we'll go tomorrow. We'll do herd immunity, and we'll do famine. How's that? Okay. Also, we'll talk about these drugs. All part of War Room Pandemic. Remember, it's a pandemic, it's an economic crisis, financial crisis, and geopolitical. That's what the special's about. See you today at 5 o'clock on our 1 hour special.
Pain, swelling, stiffness. When your hands hurt, you can't function. Until now. Introducing the new CopperFit compression gloves with Sure Grip technology to give you more power, more control, and more agility than ever. Our most advanced copper-infused compression fabric woven into an ultra-lightweight performance glove that fits like a second skin to support relief and recovery of sore muscles and painful joint stiffness. And new Sure Grip bands built in to provide a strong, non-slip grip for more power and control.
You need total control of your hands when you're doing anything with construction. Your hands are your livelihood.